All right. Greetings and welcome to another episode of the Black Ronins of Japan, courtesy of YouTube. I am your host, Sigma Jones. Kitagakure Jones is here as well. First and foremost, we just want to give a shout out to our subscribers. Thanks for listening in. Thanks for tuning in. We truly appreciate the love and support. Nihon no shicho shawa YouTube no Black Ronin shirizu e yokoso. Domo arigatou gozaimashita. Hope you all are doing well this morning, this afternoon, or this evening, depending on where you're listening in around the world. Man, what a month! There was a lot that went down and everything. I'm still kind of sad, whatnot, because I haven't had a chance to travel and whatnot to Japan. But thankfully, we are on schedule to go in March, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. But in any case, a lot has went down this month, and definitely we're going to be talking about that tonight on this podcast. Before I do so, let me reintroduce once again the Shinobi Bro himself, Kedegakure Jones. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu.
はい、ありがとうございます。Black Ronins へようこそ. And indeed, a lot has happened this month. I think we're rolling right along. We are having some excellent conversations with some very interesting people. So it is all good.
Indeed, indeed. Shout out to Ace in the chat. Good to see you, sir. But yeah, I mean, my goodness, we think we had like a total of 4 interviews this month, which that is literally like the most interviews we've done so far in a single month. So, hey, breaking records we see.
I know, and I think it's interesting that our guests agreed to come on, and there's definitely a diversity in views and experiences, and kind of where people are coming from. So I mean, we're very fortunate and very humbled that our guest decided to chat with us about all things Japan.
Indeed, indeed. Well, before we continue, I got to give some shout outs to our Patreon members that have joined within the last 2 months. Ash the Man, as always, he has joined the Ronins within the Patreon, and he already has an intro, so definitely have to play that right now. Man, shout out to Ash the Man. Once again, holding it down. And we got a newcomer this month. Meanwhile, in Pleasantville,
Uh-oh.
he has joined the ranks on Patreon, and he has joined as the Emperor, which is the top
Ooh,
tier within the Black Ronins Patreon. So
okay.
that means that if you join the top tier, you now get an intro created just for you within the Black Ronins podcast. So, meanwhile, in Pleasantville, if you're listening in, I definitely sent you an email within Patreon. So, feel free to reply whenever you can so we can work out your intro on the podcast. If not, I could definitely hit you up on emails too. But yep, shout out to our new patron, meanwhile, in Pleasantville.
Salute to both of our new Patreons. Salute.
Indeed, indeed. And then we did get some donations over this month. And I definitely would like to shout out them all, but definitely would have a lot to shout them out. So I figured, you know what? I got something for them that they would definitely enjoy. So this is our appreciation to them for their donations. And check this out.
Everyone's favorite.
Yes, yes. Shout out to SKC. He's
Salute
the
to
one origin.
SKC.
He's the originator that did the original clip of white women. And we decided, you know what? Let us make a remix. Yeah, like Clue Channel just said, the RBR remix. Indeed. We did a remix with a Ronin type of play and everything. So for those who want to see something like that again, just feel free to donate and whatnot. Maybe every now and then we'll play it, just to be funny and everything, because I got a whole bunch of this stuff behind the scenes. But yeah, that was a shout out to SKC because he's like, you know what? That is one of his staples. Let's do a remix of
There's nothing wrong with the white women clip. It just always cracks me up whenever I hear it.
it. Indeed, man, indeed. And that's the thing, because it's like, well, to me, it's like, what's there to be upset about another race of women? There's
I don't
dudes.
know.
Yeah, there's dudes that like all shades of colors and fruits and
Hmm.
everything. You can't be hating on a guy because he likes something that, you know, blonde hair, blue eye, shout out to him.
I mean, salute. I mean, I think that I've always been equal opportunity. I never had any hatred in my heart for any ethnicity of lady. So whatever floats your boat, man, as they say. Although I do think that with recent goings on in the YouTube streets, you may end up seeing people shouting Asian women before too long.
Yeah, we definitely gonna have to maybe create something like that. Um, maybe create something like that for the varieties over here, especially with Aku. You got a villain. He's already upset with the Black Ronins. He's so upset like this.
Samurai, samurai, why won't you die?
He is rather upset. And we told him, we said, hey, you're holding on to these 19th century values. You need to let it go and live in the now and just be open and have some love in your heart. But apparently he's not getting the memo.
Man, I tell you, boy. Yeah, that's a subject in and of itself. We'll have to circle back. But in any case, let's start off with some interesting news. So, shout out to the FIFA World Cup that's going on right now. There's football, but then there is football that is known around the world, aka soccer. And our good friends over at the Land of the Rising Sun, they did pretty good this past week, beating out Germany, a top team and whatnot. And now they're advancing into the next round, going up against Costa Rica.
Yeah, young Hinata was very quick to tell me that Japan had won. In fact, she called me at work and she said, Japan won. I said, oh, so good. Because, Germany has been a top rate team and, apparently they just demolish everybody. So it was a big deal. I know a couple of years ago, it was all about the Nadashiko, I think that's what they say. Basically, the
Hmm.
women's team and the men's team was not really keeping up with them, but looks like the tables have turned a bit on that. So, salute to Japan and the national team.
Indeed, indeed. Well, before they advance to the next round, they did a little gesture that really is very, I would say, Japanese like. And it really comes down to how they were raised and what type of quality of life they want for themselves. And I mean, it is what we preach here about on the Black Ronins podcast: self discipline, self mastery. And let me tell you, Japanese have a way of showing that. So, this article talks about how the Japan team cleans up the entire locker room after their historic win over Germany, winning many, many hearts. It says not only that, The Japanese team even left a note that said thank you in Japanese and Arabic, with some folded paper cranes for good measure, aka origami. So it says on Wednesday, Japan sealed a historic first ever win against Germany in a 2002 World Cup group stage match in Qatar, prompting widespread celebrations. However, the Japanese team, known for being the classiest players in the world, won the hearts of social media users again with their incredible gesture. Excuse me. Instead of reveling, in the victory, they cleaned their locker room and left it spotless after beating Germany. Sharing a picture of the locker room, FIFA wrote, after a historic victory against Germany at the FIFA World Cup on match day 4, Japan fans cleaned up their rubbish in the stadium, while the Samurai Blue, that's the name of the team, left their changing room at the Khalifa International Stadium like this. Spotless. I mean, just look at that. Not
Immaculate.
not a wrinkle, not a crumble in sight.
I mean, like you said earlier, I mean, this is very, this is very Japanese. And, I witness that every day. So even today, for example, so I went to Costco. You know what happens when you have the big old Costco haul, and you have to take all that stuff, you break it down, you break out your Ziploc bags, and put your food away. Well, we don't have enough room in the freezer at the moment. So what young Hinata did, she basically sorted through everything.
Mm.
She stacked the food based on priority of usage. I mean, it's amazing. She was able to fit everything into this very small space. And I asked her, I said, that's always amazing how you're able to do that. Katasukete, as they say. And she basically said, yeah, because there's no room otherwise. So I guess the idea is, in Japan, of course, small living quarters and stuff like that. So learning how to organize stuff is essential. But what was really interesting, my baby daughter got in on the act. She helped break down food. She put stuff away. She organized it. So even from a tiny age, my daughter is also learning how to organize stuff. So even my roommate was a guy and he organized stuff. I mean, he would put his stuff away. So, this just really, like you say, this really speaks to how the Japanese move as a culture. Also, just wanted to just mention US v England. And yeah, I was happy that they were able to not get steamrolled by the English team. And I think we got some respect put on our name in the US. So salute to the US men's team.
Indeed, indeed. Yeah, shout out to the US team. Somebody posted a meme not too long ago on Instagram where they said since the Revolutionary War, England has either lost or had a draw in all major events versus America.
I
I was
don't
like,
doubt it. I mean, I've been to the UK, and I have quite a bit of English ancestry. As I get up there in years, I spend more time doing genealogy, so I can pass that information on to the kiddos, and quite a bit of English ancestry. When I went to the UK, it was like my second home. I was super chill, so I was happy to see them play. But yeah, America domination, it's happening.
indeed. But hey, the story doesn't stop there. So like I said, it shows the locker room, shows the message the Japanese team left, both in Japanese and Arabic. Thank you. And then it says here, meanwhile, Japanese fans who are known for their post match cleanup services continue their little ritual. After the 2-1 win, Japan fans remained in the stands at Khalifa International Stadium not to celebrate the outcome but to clean the garbage. As soon as the stadium started to empty, Japanese supporters could be seen taking out light blue disposable rubbish bags. They could also be seen walking around the stadium, bending down to pick up used cups, bottles, food wrappers, and even discarded German flags. I mean,
Wow.
just look at this.
You
Can you
know,
just
that
oh, go right there, Shinobi, bro?
I was gonna say that says a lot. I mean, and I know that Logic's Finest is lurking around here, so I have to be careful what I say next. But um, if I'm an American fan, I'm at the World Cup, and I drop the Old Glory, I'm not gonna leave it on the floor. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I'm gonna pick it up.
Right. Like to me, maybe this just, how I was raised and whatnot. But my parents have taught me, like, hey, when you go into other people's places, you make sure that whatever items that you use, if you're not using them, put them away. I mean, that was just something I was grown up knowing. And I can only imagine, if you're the cleanup guy
Right.
that gotta clean up after these events at the stadiums, this is very appreciative to see the Japanese not only clean up their garbage, but also clean up other people's garbage as well.
Right. Right. Because I mean, obviously from a Western point of view, we would say, well, they're cleanup people and that's their job. And, oh, I'm not going to clean up after the other team. And we just lost the soccer match. So, I get that, culture differences and stuff like that. But, for me, over the years, I've actually started to kind of pick this up for myself. So when I go out to eat or whatever, I tend to clean everything up before I leave. And I'm not
Yeah.
sure when I started doing this, but I would probably say over the last 6 or 7 years, I guess. So, it's interesting how you pick up these habits, as time goes on.
Right. And Shinobi bro, I myself doing the same thing. Like even I find myself like I'll be looking around like on my way to wherever I'm going, walking, and if I happen to notice there's trash that somebody just did not put in the trash bin that's within walking distance, I just go ahead and put it there, put it in the trash bin. And to me, I kind of credit that both to, my parents growing up, but then too, when you go to a place like Tokyo, you talk about spotless. You will be hard pressed to find any trash lingering around in Tokyo.
Which is amazing because Tokyo has what, 10 million, 14 million? I don't know how many millions of people live there.
Right.
But yeah, have you been in New York lately? Have you been to
Bruh.
Chicago lately?
Wait,
The it's craziness. Like, I don't know, it blows my mind. And I have to say that like the floors are so immaculate. You could perform surgery on them. You know what I'm saying? And it
well,
would probably be okay.
but you know what? Clue, he said it best here earlier. It's like, it's so clean, you could eat off the floor.
You probably could. You probably could. But
Eh, mm,
and this is why, like, because I know we're going to talk about some of our interviews here, shortly. But this is one of the reasons why that I appreciate Japanese culture so much. Because think about how, I want to be fair. I want to be fair and balanced, like Fox News. Rest in peace, David Carroll. But I want to be fair and balanced. In my neighborhood, actually, in Pleasantville, we actually kind of do that to a certain extent. Like, like my yard and stuff. If trash blows over into it, I'm picking it up. If there's trash, like we clean up after each other, basically.
mm,
Because our
right.
so our streets, our yards, and all that stuff, it looks pretty clean, pretty pristine. But I mean, think about if this was like the national culture. Think about how awesome our cities would be if we did even if we did like half of as much.
Bruh. This that would take America to new heights
I
if we
know.
had adopted even half
Half.
of the Japanese mind.
Right. It ain't gotta be all. It could be half, you know.
Right. Even a fraction, okay? Man, I tell you. But yeah, yeah. Shout out to the Samurai Blue team for their victory against Germany on Wednesday, and best of luck of them when they face
Omedetou
off again.
gozaimasu.
All right, Omega Gozaibas
Omedetou gozaimasu.
when they go off to play against Costa Rica. So we'll definitely be rooting for them.
Ganbatte kudasai.
Hey, all right. So now we move on to the interviews, like we just mentioned before. And yes, this month there was a lot of interviews here on the Black Ronins podcast. Start off, there was Black Passenger, which was a surprise interview. I didn't know he even had a YouTube channel, but it was just at random that he saw the review that we did of his book, Black Passenger Yellow Cab. And he was just like, hey, I would like to come up and talk more, about the book and my lifestyle and everything. And believe me, he did not disappoint. If you haven't seen the interview as of right now, it's over on Patreon. So you got to join Patreon just to watch the whole interview and all. But man, Shinobi Bro, that one was a hard hitter.
Yes, it was, which was interesting, right? Because I think that most of the time our interviews are pretty cordial, and I don't think we get a lot of pushback oftentimes because, I think many times we're kind of like on the same page. But I
Mhm.
thought that there was a very interesting exchange there. I like that. I like it was a different energy.
Indeed, indeed, and really just got in depth about himself that y- you won't find in the book and everything, which to me is even more of a great interview because indirectly, he talked about the importance of traveling and how important it is to look after your mental health and everything because if you're not taking care of yourself, who else will?
That's true. That's true. And there's been a lot of talk about mental health. I think the pandemic, the beer bug really did a number on a lot of people, and you have to wonder. Um, there are places in the world where lockdowns are still happening, pretty
Mm,
severe lockdowns, and you have to ask yourself, what does that do to a person's mind?
right,
Probably
right.
not good things.
Mm-mm. Yeah, and that's why it's important we preach here. Like, hey, go outside. You know, put the computer down, put the phone
Put the Twitter
down,
down. Yeah.
Twitter down, everything. Go outside. Do something fun in nature and
Touch some
everything.
grass.
Like in my case, I'm surrounded by mountains, so there's very good reason to go outside and everything.
Oh,
Especially this time.
Ozone. So, do you do a lot
Yeah,
of hiking?
that I do, Shinobi, bro. That
What?
I do.
What? We're probably have to have a when you get to the land of the rising sun, you might have to do some Japan hiking footage. We have to talk about the finer points of hiking in Japan.
Oh yeah, when I go to Kyoto, one of my goals is to do a little hiking to some of the temples in the mountains and everything. So yeah, yeah, that's the plan going into next year.
Hmm.
All right, and then our next interview we did was with Tokyo Paul, who is a Chinese American living in Japan,
Hmm.
and it is crazy because just talking with him it was almost like I was talking to myself
Ooh.
because we just had so much in common, far as our backgrounds and everything. And again, it just shows how brothers here who are practitioners of SYSBM, it's not that hard to find connections with men of other cultures.
Yeah, and that is the thing that I've never understood. Like throughout my whole career in the YouTube streets, I had a very simple policy. If you respect me and mine, then I respect you.
Mm,
That's my policy. I think I adopted that when I was like 13 years old, and it served me well my whole life. All kinds of people from all different kinds of backgrounds have helped me to advance my career and my love prospects and everything else. So I just think that's so damaging when you tell people that, hey, you need to circle the wagons, like it's 1865 or something, and you need to like reject anybody that doesn't look like you. That's such a damaging idea.
I had to play that because I mean, really sad to say, but you got people like that who have this belief, this mindset that you should only be with people who share the same phenotype. And if they share the same phenotype, then you have to think like them as well. And it's just mind boggling. Like
It's
that's a very boring world if you got to live by those standards.
exactly. I mean, and to be quite honest, if we look at like the history of the world, one could make the argument that a lot of these countries that were very insular, that thought that their culture was superior and they didn't need to really do anything with outsiders, those were the cultures that found themselves conquered pretty easily because they had fallen out of touch of new technology, new ideas, new modes of transportation, new farming
Mm,
techniques. It goes on and on and on and on. I personally have always believed, and I think this is one of the reasons why I kind of set up this policy, was because I was learning a lot of things from a lot of people who didn't look like me. And the people that looked like me didn't have any answers for me.
right.
So if I had just, limited myself to people who shared, phenotypical appearance, like my whole life would have been crippled by following that. And I want to because I know that Mr. Heel, he had said something earlier. He basically said, if Western females adopted a fraction of the respect for men like the Japanese women do. My whole thing is this: I've had a lot of time to sit and think and meditate on this, and I feel like it comes down to men have to respect themselves first.
Yep.
The women aren't going to respect you. You have to respect yourself. And then as you go on about your business, then if a young lady is interested in your program, she's going to roll with your program. If she's not, she's not. And it's one of those things that you may have to get a plane ticket, get you one of those blue books, get one of those blue book in your hand, and roll out
Mm,
to a different culture, a different place, a different space where they're going to follow your program. But I think that if enough men decided, what, um, here's what I'm willing to accept, and I'm not going to simp, and I'm not going to do these different things to try to get some validation. If they basically say, I'm going to do this, and this is the way I'm going to run this program, then there would be a lot less difficulty all the way around. So that's just my thought.
indeed. Like the philosophy that I live by, if you don't love yourself, how can you expect somebody else to love you? So
Exactly.
to, to,
Exactly.
to me, I'm of the belief that hey, if you can't find what you're looking for here, travel the world,
Yeah.
see what's out there for you. It's the especially with the experiences and everything. Unfortunately, there are some people that would travel to other places for superficial reasons. Hard to believe it, but it's true. But thankfully, those people are far and few. Most people that travel, they travel because they love the experience that it gives them to be in other cultures and be around people that may not come from the same background as them. But yeah, to me, before anything can happen in regards of people respecting you, people loving you, people consider you as one of them, you got to take care of yourself. You got to be willing to look yourself in the mirror and give yourself a pep talk every now and then. Get yourself going and whatnot. Even if you're not in the best shape you need to be right now, even if you're not in you know, a good place financials and everything. When you change your mindset and you understand that your mind can take you places, that's when the magic begins.
Exactly. That's really good advice. That's solid advice. Plus, and I'm sure we either have expanded on in the past or we can expand on in the future. But I mean, you just basically gave away the blueprint. I mean, all these different things, all of our guests have talked about. It really started with a decision. They made the decision that they wanted to do something different, and then they made it happen.
Indeed, indeed. So definitely shout out to Tokyo Paul. If you haven't subscribed to his channel, please do so. There will also be some future collaborations with him as well. Then we got a chance to meet up with Josh from Inaka Adventure.
Oh
And
yeah.
Shinobi Bro, I tell you, you talk about a dude who is very knowledgeable about his surroundings in Japan. Like, man,
I really enjoyed the yokai series. Like I watched that compilation that he has where it's like what about an hour or something like that.
mm,
I had chills up and down my spine, you know what I'm saying? It was good stuff. And then like to your point about hiking and stuff, he was talking about, exploring Japan, exploring, some places off the beaten path. And again, he made a decision. He wanted to do something different. He hopped on the plane, he made it happen. And it wasn't all, peaches and cream either. So I was very interested in hearing about, what challenges he overcame to kind of build the lifestyle that he now enjoys.
indeed, indeed. A lot of these people, I'm looking forward to the day where when we get to travel to Japan, that we get to link up with them and, kind of get their perspectives behind the scenes and everything, because they definitely been awesome. And
Definitely,
then and
definitely.
then last but not least, our most recent interview with Miss Lei Kiryu, aka the Black Dragon. Like,
Oh, you know what was on my son? I apologize. I think Black Dragon is Koryu, Ko.
oh,
So I'm not
okay.
100% sure what Kiryu means, but um, yeah, I thought it was Black Dragon, so my bad. But
All good, all good. But still, shout out to Miss Lei Kiryu. Very fun interview. Like, you if you want a living example of a samurai woman, there's your living example right there. The mere fact that she is very serious about her craft and she is very open-minded in regards of opening up to other people that want to learn more about ways of the samurai, bushido, and other martial arts involved. Like, women like Miss Lay, you could definitely say that she is, how should I put this? She is an embodiment of what we preach about SYSBM.
I mean, quite frankly, I watched some of her videos, and she was definitely awesome. I mean, yeah, I can't really disagree, and I don't really have anything else to add. I mean, this is someone that definitely has a bright future ahead of her, and I was just glad she was able to stop by and chat and kind of share her experience. But one thing that I really took away from it was, of course, we reference our interview with Sensei Takai. And, again, I haven't been writing since that particular interview. But,
Right?
I mean, she basically said the same thing. She was basically saying, if you, respect the culture and all these kind of things, then, they're looking for you to participate, to keep things going. I could see, kind of the she had like a pained expression, thinking about the future. And I think this is something that Sensei Paul of the Japanese Sword Channel, I mean, I think he also had a similar concern about the future of Budo and sword craft and other things. But I think that's where we come in to do our part to, get this out here, that, this is valuable culture. You can get involved with it if you respect it and approach it in the right way, and that it's definitely worth preserving.
Indeed, indeed, and I look forward to seeing her more often too on the podcast and all, because I think she would be a great addition of giving like a female perspective of martial arts, Japanese culture, and everything. So yeah, definitely look forward to that. And shout out to JJ Starware. Good to see you, bro. And we gotta play your intro, good sir.
I'm not going there to die. I'm going to find out if I'm really alive.
Os.
Oh, shout out to you, JJ.
Shout out to you.
All right, good sir. And now we are getting ready for the next segment, and that is the top 3 posts of the month of November. So you guys are in for a treat because we definitely got some goodies for you over from Instagram. So, how does this work? The top 3 posts of the month. So, each month on Instagram, the Black Ronins podcast showcase videos of Japanese culture and Japanese martial arts, even the other martial arts here and there. And the videos that garner the top 3 likes for that month get showcased here on the regular podcast. And so this month, we definitely got some good ones to share with you all. So without further ado, hit the track.
Kick it.
All right. Coming in at number 3 is user by the name of Osayo0345. And she has a very interesting video she done here. So without further ado, let's showcase. Man, clean cut.
Ooh, yeah. Like the gravity, like cut the top part more so than her having to swing.
Indeed, indeed. Like just how they're able to cut like that, the precision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hate to beat on the bad end on that one.
I know. Yeah, you're not gonna go home happy.
Indeed. So shout out to Osayo0345. Your video came in at number 3 for the month of November. Arigatou gozaimashita.
Arigatou gozaimashita.
All right. Coming in now at number 2 is the user by the name of Yushin_Khan. And this is another interesting samurai video. So let us watch. Very good precision.
Yeah, they want to make sure that poor bamboo stand is dead.
Right.
It's not getting away.
Man, just clean cut.
And those, as our previous guest pointed out, Lei-san, those swords are heavy. They, you have to have good control to make that work.
Indeed, definitely a lot of control in order to make those precision cuts. All right. So shout out to Yushin underscore Khan. Your video came in at number 2 for the month of November. Arigatou gozaimashita.
Arigatou gozaimashita.
All right. Now, coming in at number 1 is from the user by the name of Boko Samurai. And wait till you see this one.
Ooh.
Man! Let's watch that again. Bam! That will be somebody's neck.
Yeah, that definitely looks like one of the like a Ninko technique, especially the one hand reverse.
That's why I was like, you know what? Shinobi Bro would like this one because this is definitely a Shinobi type of move.
You know, interestingly enough, it also kind of reminds me of Samurai Showdown, like Nakoruru. She had the kind of the wakizashi. Yeah, interesting.
All right. So shout out to Boko Samurai. Your video came in at number 1 for the month of November. Arigatou gozaimashita.
Arigatou gozaimashita. Yeah, I like that because, you know, by the time that he, you know, gets up on you like that, there's not a whole lot you can really do.
Definitely, man. Good luck even seeing that move. Cause,
yeah,
I mean, by the time you realize he's approached you, he's already got it up and going. So, all right. So, thanks for all the participants for the top 3 videos of the month. If you would like to feature a video of Japanese culture or Japanese martial arts or any sort of martial arts, feel free to follow us on Black Ronins of Japan on Instagram. The link to the Instagram page is found in the chat by Battissimo. And who knows, videos that you share with us gets the most likes. It'll also be featured on this podcast. So thanks for everybody for participating. Arigatou gozaimashita.
Arigatou gozaimashita. That is awesome that we have, you know, quality videos like that to share on a monthly basis.
Oh yeah. Like to me, that's one of the fun things I like about, you know, going on Instagram, finding these videos and then reposting them on our page and then just have the people vote on them. Just like, hey, what do you think about this video? And afterwards, when we come up to our main podcast of the month, I just go through, look at the analytics, and I look to see, okay, which videos got the most likes for the last 30 days. And hey, this is what you guys vote for, and this is what we showcase. Cool. So, Shinobi Bro, what if I told you that there's still some modern samurais to this day, even if they don't wear all the armor or walk around with their katanas and all, but just the spirit of the samurai is still there.
I would believe that.
Well, there's an interesting story that came through that definitely I wanted to talk more about because when you hear this story, it's just like, how did this happen? So apparently, the headline for this story that came from Sora News 24 mentions that a city employee in the city of Kanagawa, or you could say the Kanagawa prefecture, killed a wild boar on an elementary school campus with just a spear.
Oh, yoku dekita na.
Right on. So this is the story from Sora News 24. And yeah, let's just read about it. So it says, once upon a time, in the mountains of Kanagawa Prefecture, a wild boar came down from the forest into the town of Hadano. The creature began to run amok, charging at the townspeople and causing injuries. Attempts to subdue the beast were unsuccessful, until eventually one man, who had pledged to protect the town, slew the boar with his spear. And oh, the time upon which this incident happened was just a few days ago. On Thursday morning, a male boar appeared at one of the entrances at the Aeon Hadano shopping center, where it charged at an 83-year-old woman who suffered injuries to her head from falling to the ground as she tried to dodge the attack. The boar then made its way about 200 meters, roughly 656 feet, down the street, where it attacked a man in his 30s, leaving him with wounds to his left leg. The boar was next seen running around the athletic field of the Suihiro Elementary School, roughly 400 meters away from the shopping center. It was still there when city animal control employees arrived on the scene, and they first attempted to incapacitate the boar using a prod that delivers electrical shocks. This had little effect, though, as the boar, estimated to be about 120 centimeters long, which is 47 inches, and 80 kilograms, 176 pounds in weight, brushed the apparatus back and charged multiple times at the animal control staff. It was then that Masahiro Iwata, deputy chief of Hadano's agricultural promotion division, stabbed the boar with a spear with a 150 centimeter shaft and a 24 centimeter bladed head, killing it. And would you know it, they also got a video. So let's check this out. And you know what? Let me make sure I got the volume turned on because can't watch it if you can't hear it. So, yes, indeed. Okay, here we go.
午前10時過ぎ、イノシシが現れた場所は開店時間を迎えた神奈川県秦野市のショッピングセンターです。駐車場付近で撮られた黒い大きな塊。一見小さく見えますが、置かれた緑色のパイロンの高さと比べるとかなりの大きさなのがわかります。
40代の女性の方が逃げろって叫んだんで、ふってふがふがって聞こえたので、鼻息が。右側見たらもう自分の目の前にイノシシが現れてたんで、もう2メートルあるかないかだと思う。
80代の女性が転倒し軽傷を負いました。ショッピングセンターを出たイノシシは男性に怪我をさせた後、今度はわずか400メートル離れた小学校のグラウンドに侵入しました。校庭にはイノシシの足跡が残っていました。
着いた時にちょっとそれたので、この時は飛んで逃げちゃいましたね。で、飛んで逃げてこれに持ち替えて。
担当者が語っ
Now, I gotta mention, just looking at that, the electric prod, yeah, that's not going to do much damage to a wild boar.
Yeah, that's a lot of bacon on the move.
I mean, I know the idea was to give it electrical shock to maybe shock the animal so it could run away, but if the animal is angry, that's not going to do much damage. But let's continue.
イノシシとの対峙の瞬間、捕獲の切り札は電気の槍でした。小学校の校庭に侵入したイノシシ。銃が使えない状況で現場に出動したのは秦野市の担当者でした。最初は山に逃がそうと考えていましたが、弱った様子が見えないことから、まずスタンガンのような電気の通った槍で動きを止めることにしましたが、
着いた時にちょっとそれたので、この時は飛んで逃げちゃいましたね。で、飛んで逃げてこれに持ち替えて、で刺したって感じですかね。
電気の槍から持ち替えた刃渡り20センチ以上の金属製の刃がついた。
Now look at that blade.
That's the business right there. That's old school yari jutsu.
Yes. That's as they say, bring on the big guns. Yeah. this boy, sorry, but you just seen your last days.
But I wonder though, because see, even then, you would need to, make sure you're hitting the right spots.
Hmm.
And if it's a 176-pound animal, you got to have decent stance, have some body weight behind your behind your thrust.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. But we'll see how he was able to subdue it.
槍です。
脳天に向けてガッてやったら、そうですね、半分ぐらいしかちょっと刺さなかったんですね。やっぱ硬くて、ちょっとずらしたところで柔らかそうなところを狙って、こうついたら入ったので、さらに押し込んで、で、それでだいぶ致命傷を与えられたと思うんですけど。
And there you have it. That's how he was able to kill the wild boar. And
So in the article, does it say, I mean, what this is the real issue. Did anyone mention if it was like a yokai? Was it cursed? Did anyone put like a jutsu on it? I mean, those are the real questions we need to know here.
man, I mean, hey, a wild boar in the city. Now, I will say this. So, I live out here in the Southwest, capital city of Arizona, Phoenix, and everything. We don't have wild boars, but we do have something called javelinas, which are desert pigs. And let me tell you, they could be just as vicious. So, yeah, you don't want to mess with a wild pig if you don't have to.
Interesting. Well, I just think that, it's unusual. So I'm sure that there are supernatural forces behind it. Or maybe it's a nefarious plot to seek revenge or something. Perhaps we'll never know the truth of this matter.
Yeah, that's a legend that you know we we only know what was happening during that time, but we'll never know what spurred a wild boar to go into the inner city of the Kanagawa prefecture and wreak havoc. So
Hmm.
interesting time.
Well, I'm sure someone will make an anime about it, so we'll get more information as time goes on.
Oh yeah, you know that, all right. Without fail, somebody's going to turn that into a story, and you can hear like previously on the Modern Samurai, a wild boar attacks the city of Hadano. Would our main protagonist be able to save the city or end in defeat?
Now, the only issue though is if they do make that manga, is it going to be like half the book, getting charged up to stab the boar,
Right? Man, oh man. Well, now we come to our next section of the night. And Shinobi, bro, what if I told you that tomorrow, November the 27th, 2022, would have been the 82nd birthday of Bruce Lee?
I was not aware of that.
Yeah, Mr. Bruce Lee was born on November the 27th, 1940.
Hmm.
And had he lived, beyond his death, which was in 1972, he would have been 82 years old today.
Wow.
Crazy, crazy. Well, there's an article that we got that actually talks about some fun facts about Bruce Lee that not many people know about. And this is an article by the South China Morning Post that definitely wanted to get in and kind of see what do we know about Bruce Lee. So, check it in at number 1. It says he planned to make more period films. Bruce Lee planned to make more period films after his 1972 film Fists of Fury. Lee's Way of the Dragon, made in 1972, Game of Death, 1972, and Enter the Dragon, 1973, were all set in the then present day. But Fists of Fury was set in Japanese occupied Shanghai in the early 20th century. According to Carl Fox, author of the KFM Bruce Lee Society, Lee thought about making more films in the past while filming Fist of Fury. Quote, Lee was planning to make several period films at some point, and did some custom photo shoots on the Fist of Fury set, Fox says. These photos show Lee wearing a wig with his hair in a bun. He's wearing brown fur garments in some photos, some blue, and white uniforms in others. Several types of weapons, such as axes and swords, also featured in the photos. The photo shoot occurred in the alleyway outside the Jingwu School of Fist of Fury, where the translator, Mr. Wu, is found hanging from a lamp post. You know where the photos were taken, as the same brick wall in the background is visible within the film. Next, coming in at number 2, Japanese record labels paired him with a disco hit. In the 1970s, Japanese record labels released extended play vinyl records of Bruce Lee film soundtracks backed up by music from The Exorcist, Convoy, a comedy about truckers featuring country music star Chris Christopherson, who sang the song, and the John Wayne film McHugh. According to a comprehensive article in Eastern Heroes Martial Arts Movie magazine, Japanese fans were so enamored with Lee, they couldn't get enough memorabilia and happily shelled out for the disc, which came in attractive record sleeves bearing pictures of Bruce Lee. Around 40 discs were released. One EP even featured Carl Douglas's 1974 mega hit disc record, Kung Fu Fighting, on the A side. The sleeves used a picture of Lee rather than Douglas as its selling point. Because of the picture sleeves, all the records are collector items today, the article says.
Before we continue,
Hmm.
I'm thinking back because I mean, for our listeners who maybe, maybe like the millennial generation or Generation Z, it's kind of hard to just understand like how big Bruce was.
Right.
He was a big, big deal. And I remember oftentimes, my mother, God rest her soul, I mean, she loved some Bruce Lee. She was super thirsty for Bruce. And I mean, there are a lot of ladies that really liked Bruce Lee. I think that I'm trying to think if he may have been the first man of, you know, Hong Kong background descent to really be a massive star in the West.
Mm.
I'm sure there's someone that was before him, but he was like on top of the world, and it's a tragedy what happened. I mean, the world really has lost a lot. I mean, if he had been with us today, there's no telling. I bet this whole world would be a very different place.
Agreed, Shinobi, bro. I'm just imagining him being 82 years old, but still being able to do the 2-inch punch without you blinking. Like,
At
man,
this point, I mean, he'd probably just be like Ultra Instinct.
right?
Like he would just stand there and look at you, and then you would just fall over. So
Yeah. Coming in number 3, it says his films played at the Cannes Films Festival. The Big Boss, 1971, and Fist of Fury were shown at the prestigious Cannes Film Festival in France, where they went unnoticed by critics and distributors before their successful releases in the United States. Quote, it was 1972, and despite the films being shown at the Cannes Film Festival that year, little of their phenomenal success in Asia escaped beyond the Mandarin film circuit, even though there were packed houses and near riots in Cannes. British critic Verena Glassner wrote in 1974. The following year, both films had broken decisively into the world market, she added. Number 4, he wanted to introduce more comedy into his film. Lee had a penchant for comedy. The telephone repairman scene in Fist of Fury is quite funny and the only lighthearted moment, although I don't think it works too well in what is a serious film, says Fox. The comedy aspect to Bruce's performance is much better used in The Way of the Dragon, which calls for it way more than Fists of Fury. The country bumpkin, fish out of water scenario of Way of the Dragon utilizes comedy in a much better fashion and sets the tone right from the start. There's something comedic every few minutes of Way of the Dragon, right up to the final half hour, where all jokes are cast aside for one of the greatest battles ever filmed. Even Game of Death has some small moments of comedy, especially between the trio of Lee, Chie Wan, and James Tien. And then some critics have noted that the serious Lee may have explored comedy in more films had he lived longer. Now, I was just thinking about this. Can you imagine, like, if Bruce Lee, lived in like the 90s and all, or even like the 80s? He did like some comedy films with, say, Robin Williams or Eddie Murphy.
Oh my
Or
goodness, that would have been great. But like yeah, you get that makes sense to me. I've never heard this until now, but that makes a lot of sense. Like the next section, like Sammo Hung and Jackie Chan, and even Gordon Liu. A lot of those guys, um, you could kind of tell that they're trying to hold it together to be serious. Um,
right.
that would have been awesome. Yeah, that would be a great collab. It's a shame.
Or even just imagine like if he had replaced Jackie Chan in Rush Hour.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, that, I mean, or maybe they're all three on there. They're all three on
Yeah,
there.
right.
Oh, that would have been insane.
Really insane. Shout out to GW3. Good to see you, sir.
G Deezy.
Coming in at number 5, he liked working with Sammo Hung. Although Lee didn't like working with fight choreographers, he preferred to choreograph his own moves. He enjoyed collaborating with stuntmen Lam Ching Ying and Sammo Wong Cambo, who aided him on Into the Dragon and The Game of Death. Both of them were close to Bruce Lee. Stuntman Tong Wai told the Hong Kong Film Archive, excuse me, in devising action moves, particularly in fist and leg action, they instituted breakthroughs. They changed the rhythms, and the things they did were even different to the big boss. Everything after Fist of Fury was brand new. Hong edited Game of Death, which was never completed, for release after Lee died, hoping to preserve the master's legacy in the fight scenes. Number 6, he was serious about acting. Lee had a Zen like philosophy when it came to acting. It might sound too philosophical, but it's unacting acting or acting unacting, he said in Bruce Lee, The Lost Interview, a 1971 interview released in 1994. Acting is a combination of both natural instinct and control. You combine them in harmony. If you have the first to the extreme, you will be very unscientific. If you have the other, you suddenly become a mechanical man. Therefore, it's not unnaturalness or naturalness. The idea is to achieve natural unnaturalness or unnatural naturalness. Yeah, that is definitely a Zen like thinking. All right. And then last but not least, coming in at number 7, Bruce Lee loved Japanese samurai films. Even though Lee was dismissive of karate, he was a big fan of Japanese samurai films, a genre known as chambara. Like many Hong Kong filmmakers, Lee was impressed by their production values, which were generally superior to those of Hong Kong's sword fighting films. Lee also tried to emulate the hyper passionate performances of the on screen samurai. However, his do anything to win philosophy of combat did not have much to do with the samurai code of honor. Now,
Mm.
Shinobi Bro, you recall we did an episode talking about What's his name? The samurai films that he's very famous for.
Toshiro Mifune-sama.
Yes,
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 that's what I was thinking about. See, great minds think alike. Like Mifune-sama, there was no one in that genre that I can think of that was anywhere close to, his presence, his passion, his masculinity.
they say he was the Clint Eastwood of the East.
Yes. And the thing is, I knew that Bruce Lee was a man of culture because who come on. You're gonna tell me that you sit someone down in front of a Kurosawa film and they're gonna walk away and say they don't like it. Come on now,
Right,
you know. But I mean, that is something to be said. I mean, the last part about his do anything to win philosophy, I mean, let's keep it real. Bushido, as we kind of think about it often today, that is more or less a product of the time of peace. Like the
yep,
Hagakure was written like in the 1700s, I believe. And this was in an era of peace. So yeah, it became more ritualized and more formalized and all that stuff. But I mean, there were plenty of ashigaru foot soldiers. There were plenty of samurai warriors who they didn't just march out there in the field like robots and get decimated. Of course, they're going to use their heads and use strategy, and maybe you pay some ninja to come into the battlefield and do some stuff. So I mean, it's not always as cut and dry as that, in my opinion. But I think that you know Mr. Lee's approach would be very compatible with Ninpo in a lot of respects because from the shinobi's point of view, if the skill is useful, we keep it. If
mhm,
it's not, then it's going to die with you and it's not going to get passed on anyway.
right. So I honestly I felt like had Bruce Lee lived a lot longer, he probably would have incorporated a lot of Bushido and Ninpo ways in his philosophy. Especially in finding out now that he was a big fan of samurai films. I think it's just a matter of time before they mesh together.
And I've always thought about the 2-inch punch. I mean, I'm not an expert by any means, but I mean, I'm not saying that I'm anywhere on Master Lee's level, but I mean, there are certain punches you can do from a what we call like an earth or a Shizen stance
Mm,
that you generate the movement with your body, but I mean, you can get comparable results. So I mean, I don't think he's too far away. In fact, if he had lived in feudal Japan, I would imagine he probably would have come up with his own school. He probably would have been, you know, Bruce Dew Ninpo or something. He would have created something of his own. Because we can't forget that a lot of those arts came from China and Korea anyway.
right. Indeed. And there is a lot of similarities between Japanese culture and Chinese culture and even Korean culture. They all share similar backgrounds as far as like the ancient East Asia. So yeah, I definitely agree. Before we continue, shout out to my man Isa Saba. Definitely gotta play your intro, good sir.
All creatures need to obey. No one can survive without trusting someone they feel is better, more worthy than themselves. To avoid that responsibility, those who are worthy look even higher, searching for more superior beings. And those superiors do the same, looking for even stronger individuals they can believe in. That is how all kings are created. It is also how gods are born.
Now, I have to say, I think even Bruce Lee would have agreed with the philosophy of Aizen Sama.
I'm thinking that too. I think about that a lot, actually. I'm like, makes a lot of sense to me because, we're, I I mean, you're not going to look to weaker individuals to pattern yourself off of. So, as they say, you are what you eat. Yeah. So anyway, shout out to Aizen Sama.
Yeah, shout out to Aizen Sama. So now, Shinobi Road, we come to the final segment of the stream. What has been your final thoughts at the moment?
Well, I would probably say that tomorrow, as they say, tomorrow isn't promised.
Mm-hmm.
So I think about what Master Lee could have done and how the world would have been changed, definitely changed as a result. But, time ran out and we never got to see what was next. And then I think about, some of our interviewers. I'm seeing a common trend in that, there is real concern about, these traditional ways, these traditional crafts, these traditional arts.
Mm.
And this is something that Shisho Mad Bus Driver has said on many of his videos. Some people will have a name that will live on to the generations. Some people may have businesses that will pass on down through the centuries, but ultimately people are the most permanent form of legacy. So your descendants and their descendants and their descendants, all the way down the chain. So, when it comes to transmitting, culture, transmitting skills, transmitting arts down through the centuries, you need people to do that. Every person that is not involved, that's a loss for them. That's a loss for the culture. That's a loss for that tradition. Everyone that is involved, that is a gain. So it could be someone from Japan. It could be someone from Tanzania. It could be someone from anywhere in the world. And I think that smart people and forward-looking people understand that. And so I think that there's going to be a lot more emphasis on finding, recruiting, and bringing in. And is that? Oh my goodness! Of course he is.
What in the world? Showed at the last minute. All right, good sir. We got to play this now.
I'm so disappointed, Ichigo. So very disappointed. Sadly, your sword exhibits only fear. When you counter, it's because you fear being killed. When you attack, you fear killing. And when you try to protect someone, you fear you could let them die. The only thing that your sword speaks of is senseless fright. And that's not good. What you do not need in battle is fear. Nothing will come of it. You counter, you don't let them cut you. If you protect someone, you don't let them die. When you attack, you kill.
Man, this is a very philosophical moment.
I know. And of course, only Logic's Finest is going to be reporting live from Qatar during the World Cup, as expected, as they would say. Sasaga Logic's Finest san. Omedetou gozaimasu.
All right. And you missed it, good sir. When you replay it back, we talk about how the Japanese, both players and citizens, cleaned up the entire stadium. Like, I mean, that's just a whole nother level. But please continue, good sir.
Well, I mean, what else is there to say? I mean, you have jet-setting individuals like Logic's Finest who are living the lyrics, and they are going to make sure that their wherewithal and their knowledge and their skills, it's going to get passed down to somebody. It could be someone biological. It could be somebody, maybe you adopt someone like a spiritual child, an adopted child, or you train yourself a successor. But either way, that's the way forward. We have to stop thinking that people aren't important. People are important. They're the most important item, skill, resource, whatever you want to call it, there is. So, people have to stop this obsession with only dealing with certain people because of some characteristic. That's not going to help you in the long run.
Indeed, indeed. Before we continue, shout out to Free Zone Lou. Man, another philosophical intro.
Are you aware of the proper method that one should use to eliminate weeds? You see, weeds, when left unchecked, will rob the flower of its proper nutrients. So what do? If you uproot the weed, then you disturb the flower. Its roots and soil don't like to be interfered with.
So, what do you do?
You learn to plant flowers that utilize the weeds as a form of nourishment. Take a look. This flower is an example of a beautiful exterior masking its true intentions. Intentions that are really quite brutal.
Man. And you know what? Because a lot of y'all are here at the moment, I think this is a good time to show y'all,
Uh-oh, here we
far
go.
as like, why, we teach you experience and everything. Because unfortunately, you got some individuals that they just don't like other races of people, particularly
Mhm.
a certain type of race of women.
Mhm.
So y'all want to see what that looks like?
They don't like that. I guess that's silly though, because maybe it's a certain type of female that's going to help you carry on your business, training hall, whatever. So, some of these people just need to stop this with this ridiculous obsession with, certain features and whatnot. Salute to Free Zone Lou and Yori666 San in the
Yeah,
building.
shout out to Yordi666. Man. Look, okay. For those who are fans of the villain of the month, let me just forewarn you. Come tomorrow, I'm gonna have a field day playing that clip. So you've been warned. Man, but yeah, shout out to everybody. It has been a very interesting month. Like you said, Shinobi, bro. The interviews that we had and everything, the common theme that I got out of all the interviews we have done is, you know, be on person, you know, trying to be like the crowd or trying to fit in and whatnot, what the main people are doing and all. That's really not successful, especially, if you're fitting in with a group of people, excuse me, you're fitting in with a group of people that really is about failure. You know, I believe in the philosophy of iron sharpens iron. Who you deal with and who you hang around with, they are a reflection of you. And so if you're wondering, why is it that you're not moving up in society, or why is it that you're not, you know, being productive, or really getting things going in your life, all I can tell you is look who you're associated with. That pays huge dividends. So sometimes you got to change who you hang around with, and a good portion of it you may need to go alone. Don't try to have people to join you and everything. Just go it alone, figure yourself out, get things going, get things right, and then you find people that share the same mindset as you. To me, that's what I got out of all the interviews we've done so far up to this month. Each and every one had, you know, a great experience that I think should be emulated. Well, let me take that back. A lot of positive experiences that should be emulated in regards to their love for Japan, what they have accomplished there, and what they're doing now. While there or just traveling from there. And then, they ended with Bruce Lee, his 82nd birthday up until this point and all. Yeah, he left the world with so many, so many what ifs in regards of where things could have gone, where things could have been taken. But yeah, that to me, I really align myself with Bruce Lee's philosophy of be like water, be formless and really be adaptive to your environment. I never forget, I'll tell anybody, the highlight of my trip to Seattle has been and always will be going to the graveside of Bruce Lee. That will always be the highlight of my first trip to Seattle
Hmm.
because that was more, to me, that felt like a pilgrimage. You heard about the legend, you heard so many stories about him and everything. And now to go see his final resting place, that to me was the embodiment of self discipline and self mastery. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, yeah, that's to me. I think that's one thing I want everybody to try to get out there. It's like, be your own person, be who you are supposed to be, your full potential and all. And from there, you'll find the people that think the ways you think. And before you know it, you too become a legend like Bruce Lee.
Hmm.
But all
That's right.
right. All right. Thanks for everybody for tuning in and those who will be listening in on the replay. Definitely you want to tune in next month as we do our final stream for the year of 2022. And then what we got planned for going on in 2023. So you definitely want to tune in for that. And like I mentioned before, for those of us who are the nerd types and everything, you'll want to tune in to tomorrow's villain of the month as we will be discussing Dr. Victor Von Doom.
Hmm.
So,
Sounds like a villainous good time. I might have to drop in and just observe.
indeed, it's always a hard hitter with these villains of the month, and it's really thanks to the audience and all. They enjoy it and they really pitch in. So, yeah, that's going to be a hard hitter. But with that said, thank you everybody for tuning in to this podcast of the Black Ronins of Japan. I am your host, Sigma Jones. The Shinobi Bro Kinegakure Jones is here as well. Until next time, this is the way.
This is the way.